your boy Driver View. Welcome to Driver View. I'm gonna make this video here about why I never left FFE. I had opportunities to go to other companies, but I got homeboys who have their own authority, do their own thing. But for me personally, the reason I never left FFE because, hey, FFE has always done me right. Even as a company driver, when I first started, always had good terminal managers. I'm out of Florida, so I was doing my terminal manager out of Florida. When I first started, I had a load going to Walmart, Florida. In Florida, where in Florida? Was it Ocala? The Walmart in Florida, Walmart. I think it was Ocala. But this how I knew that I liked this company. And I liked the terminal manager that I was with, that I had. My dispatcher had got me a load to go to Walmart. Now I get there to Walmart and they tell me that my appointment time was wrong. So let's say it was on the Tuesday. The appointment was at 5 o'clock in the morning, something like that. Yeah, it had to be about 5 or 6 in the morning, because all the loads down there usually be going by 7 a.m. So I think my appointment time was like 7, something like that. So I get to Walmart and they tell me that my appointment time was wrong and we missed the appointment time. And she tells me, this is my dispatcher, she tells me you have to stay in Ocala. Now the appointment time that they gave me was all the way the next day to 5 a.m. in the morning. But she tells me I have to stay. And I'm like, you want me to stay here pretty much by 24 hours to make this next appointment time? It didn't make sense to me. I'm like, I'm not staying here. And it's not like I'm over the road, over the road, and you over the road, you have to stay. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. And she tells me, no, you have to do it. You gonna stay. I'm like, all right. Now, mind you, I probably was 4 months in, driving on my own for FFE, and I'm like, no, I'm not staying. No, there's no way I'm staying. Hey, all right. She like, no, you better stay. You gonna have to stay. I'm like, all right. I hung up the phone, crunk up the truck. I started heading back to the terminal in Dundee, Florida. So as I'm heading back, I called my terminal manager. I'm letting him know, like, man, listen, she messed up the appointment time, and the appointment time is not all the way to the next morning, the next day in the morning time. And she want me to stay. And he was like, what? No, man, go ahead and come in. Come in. No, I'm like, yeah, all right. I'm already coming in because I wasn't gonna stay, but I'm gonna make sure I make the appointment time tomorrow. Then she called me back. She calls me back. She was pissed. She was mad that I called the terminal manager on her. I'm like, listen, there wasn't no reason for me to stay. It didn't make no sense whatsoever. But she was mad that I called. And right then I was like, man, I got a cool terminal manager. You know, I was made me like FFE, you know. Then continue on. I never had an issue with getting home time whatsoever. Never had an issue. When I needed to go home, I was home. Now take it at when I started, I was doing from Florida to I went to Florida to Detroit to Chicago. I did that for maybe, no, I only did that one run there, so, and something happened. I could tell another story about that. While I only did Detroit, did a run to Detroit one time when I was by myself, but when I was training, I was going to Detroit all the time because that was going to be my run. So I was training with a person that was actually doing the run I was going to do. But I was going from Florida to Minnesota, deliver in Minnesota, then I'll make my way back to Chicago. And when I used to come up here to Chicago, you know, a lot of drivers used to sit around and wait, because I used to get back probably a Thursday or a Friday from Minnesota, and they used to just sit around. And you know, I started going in the office like, hey man, y'all got something to do? And they'll give me runs to do until my load was ready. And I always made more than what I was supposed to make, because when I started with FFE, I think the hourly, they had it two different ways. The mileage pay was, I think, 30 cents per mile, something like that, 30 cents per mile, and $15 an hour, $16 an hour. That wasn't a lot of money. And they gave me an opportunity to make more money, and I took advantage of it. And they always looked out for me. I worked hard, did what was asked of me, but at the same time, they had to respect my mind when it came to certain situations, you know, because even when I was doing local work here for the first time, they would send me to downtown Chicago. And man, when I tell you, to anybody who knows about downtown Chicago or driving in the city of Chicago, hey man, it's not for the weak. And I was doing that, and I went to the dispatcher up here. I'm like, man, listen, don't send me back through the city of Chicago. I'm not from here. Send the local drivers. I'm not with all these tight spaces and all that. You know, and you know, he laughed at me, but he respected what I came to him and said, and he took me off those type of runs going to the city, because at that time we didn't have a pub trailer, which was needed to go downtown and through the city, you know. And I was in a sleeper berth, so you might could get away with it in a day cab, you know, in some of the spaces, but the places I was going, I'm in a sleeper berth, and it was impossible to try to make a pickup or delivery in a sleeper berth, because it was the space that they had for you to try to back up into. You couldn't cut the truck right, you know, to make the deliveries. I mean, you could, but hey, you really had to know how to back. And I'm just starting off, so you know, when you first starting off, your backing is subpar. I really should not have been going to these places. And just thankful to God that I didn't hit nothing trying to make these deliveries and pickups. But they always been good to me. Home time, like I said, as a company driver, man, I'll take a month off, 2 months off, and they never bothered me whatsoever. They never bothered me. You know, it had got to a point where I used to come out, then I'll go back. And being down there in Florida, all the loads had to be taken out the yard about 5 a.m. to make all the appointments, because most of the appointments were in Jacksonville, Ocala. You had some in Orlando, you know, Bradenton and all that, but I used to work pretty much the whole 14 hours. By the time I get back, I've worked 14 hours, and where I stayed at was an hour away, so pretty much I wasn't getting no sleep, especially when I had to go to Jacksonville. By the time I got off from work and get home, man, I was getting 5 hours of sleep. You know, at first I was excited, you know, all pumped up, but after a while, man, I started getting on the expressway driving and have to pull over and take me a 30-minute nap, because I was getting 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night. Because the time I make it home, that hour drive, and you know it was 10 hours exactly, 10 hours. Your next load was 10 hours exactly. So by the time I get home, for one, by the time you drop your trailer and everything, you already on your 10 hours. So by the time I get home, it's 2 hours already gone. Take a shower, eat, get ready for bed. But now I got to be right back up about 1 o'clock just to make it to the terminal at 3 to pick up my load to make it to Jacksonville, just to make the first delivery about 6:30 a.m. So I wasn't getting no rest, no sleep. You know, I brought that to them, and it was like, all right, you know. So I came with a plan. I was like, man, listen, what I'm gonna do is I just start staying up here in Chicago and going from Chicago to Minnesota for the month. So I wouldn't go back to Florida unless it was when I was going home. I'd take a load from here, headed back home to Florida. So I actually started staying up here a month at a time, and when I went back home, I didn't work at all. So they looked out for me with that. So they always have looked out for me. They have never complained to me about the off time that I take. Only thing they'll do, they'll call and be like, hey, when you coming back? And I'll be like, hey, yeah, I might come back next week or whatever. But they never bothered me at all. Even when I got the truck for leasing, the lease purchase, man, I'll take 2 to 3 months off. They didn't harass me about the payments for the truck, anything. They didn't bother me at all. When I came back, you know, of course you're in the hole, then, you know, you pay that off. Now, it was only one time that I might have got worried. I had took 3, it was going on 4 months off. So I called the people and I was like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna send y'all a check for the payments and insurance. Because I was saying to myself, all right, now you're not taking advantage, but you've been going a long time, and you do owe these people that money for the truck. And you know, they was cool. I sent them a check in the mail to pay off the debt that I owe, and everything been good. It's always been good for me, you know, me personally. So that's why I never left FFE, man. They have never gave me no problems. I like working with the people that dispatch me. The terminal manager up here in Lamont, you know, great dude. It just always always been good for me. Now anybody else, I don't know their story, how it is or whatever, but for me personally, I always had a good rapport with the terminal managers and everything. You know, it was always been good. Now to remind me now, there was one time the Dallas, which is the headquarters. They called me. It was like, why you took over a month off? And I'm telling them, I'm like, dude, I've been working for y'all for over 8 years, and I always, every year, always took 30 or more days off. And he couldn't believe it. I'm like, I don't know if it was a new person there or whatever, but I'm like, yeah, I always took 30 days off. You know, he was like, you have a truck payment? I'm like, yeah, I know I have a truck payment. The truck payment is paid. Well, what's the issue? You know, and he checked and he was like, man, he just couldn't believe that I always took those days off. Then it turned to, well, if you've been off more than 30 days, you have to take a drug test. And I'm like, I have never taken a drug test after I've been gone for 30 days or more. He was like, no, that's company policy. That's what. Hey, fine. It don't matter. I don't do drugs. I'll go take the test. You know, but besides that, I haven't been bothered with again. They have never called me again about that, because at the end of the day, he could call all the terminal managers or whatever. The only thing they gonna say, I'm a worker. I get the job done. They have no issues out of me. Or call the leasing people that's overpayments, and seeing that I made all my payments on time. Everything is good, even down to the payment people. Never had an issue with them. If something was wrong with my check, they always straightened it right then, that day, no problem. None of this waiting to the next pay period and all that. No, I'll call, be like, hey, y'all missed a load on my check, and they'll be like, all right, let me check on it. Boom, she'll email me back. Oh, I'm sorry. What we're gonna do is we're gonna expedite your payment, and boom, the money hit my account. So I never had an issue with payments either. But the main thing is home time. I could get home anytime I want to and move how I want to, and it's a beautiful thing, man. I mean, most companies don't allow you to do that. Even here and now, I start when I want to start. You know, if I don't feel like working, I just tell them I don't feel like working. You know, it's hard to find a company that allows you to enjoy life outside of trucking. You know, it's very hard, and that's one of the reasons why I've never left FFE, even when I paid off my truck. I could have went and got my own authority and jumped out there in the water and you know, start booking my own loads. But to me, to each his own. But hey, I like being able to just walk in, not even walk in, just get a phone call and be like, hey, we got this for the day. What you want to do? All right, this is what I'm gonna do. You want to take rails, or you want to go out here and pick up a load somewhere else? You know, whatever I want to do. If I wanted to right now just be like, hey, I want to go out to California. I just feel like taking a long distance ride to California right now. Guess what? They'll just give me a load to California to go to California. So you can't get that with a lot of companies. Yeah, people might make more money than me, but that's okay. That's really okay. You know, being able to move how I wanna move is more important than the money. Now, money is important, but I make good enough money to be able to enjoy myself, and I don't have to worry about the headache of trying to find a load, getting messed over by brokers, and all that stuff that my friends go through. You know, I talk to them, and it's a headache. It's a real headache, the stuff that they go through to try to get a load. You know, deadheading for free and picking up a load that don't pay nothing just to get to this next stop. No. The load I pick up is all, that's what I'm getting paid. It's a set price that I'm getting paid for, and that's what I get. I don't have to worry about how much I'm gonna get paid for this load. I already know how much I'm gonna get paid for this load, and that's what it is. And even sometimes I get a little extra pay for stuff that I do, so I can't. To me, this is a great company. I can't get on here and badmouth FFE at all. I know some drivers might can, you know, through their experience or whatever, but I know one thing, that the people that have been here long term was the same people who didn't sit on their ass, excuse my language, when it came to try to make money. They didn't come here and just sit and cry about, man, my load not ready to go back to Florida, my load not ready to go back to California. No, they went in there and was like, hey, you got anything for me to do? And they'll have something for you to do. They will look out for you to make money. They are not trying to stop you from making money. As a lease operator, or the owner operator that work here. Now, they have stopped the lease purchase program here. They cut it off. They actually cut it off a month after I got my truck. Me and another guy was the last people to get into the lease purchase program. And I'm happy that I did, and I'm happy that I stayed with this company. I got no complaints about FFE. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to make a video about why I haven't left FFE and why I feel like FFE is a good company for me. Not nobody else, but me. This your boy Drive Review, and I'm out. Sweet.